I'm serious about this. Like, this is like, if anything, take this seriously because it will. This is something you really need. You really need. I'm making this video because I get a lot of beginner artists asking me for advice and everything, and this is my video to you, to anybody watching that is starting their journey or is on it to whatever they're wanting to achieve. This is just my little 2 cents. This is not going to be, if you see me looking down, I have some notes because I tend to ramble and go off topic. So this will keep me in line. But this is not going to be a motivational or technical video. Um, I've said this once many times before. I don't like giving technical advice. I don't do anything. I'm specifically talking to the tattoo artist right now. I don't do anything special you can't find off of YouTube or following some other fucking amazing artists that teach techniques and stuff. So I'm not big on giving technical advice with art. It's just something you have to do at the end of the day. Um when I say this is not a motivational video, this isn't to the people that are this is to the people that already have the drive within them and have already executed on it in some sort of way, regardless of what anybody has said. Um, so this is a message coming from somebody who has, accomplished some things over the past few years. But I will still and will forever be, trying to become better at what I do and who I am. So I'm never gonna get to a stopping point to where I can feel like, you know, 5, 10 years down the line, feel like I'm at a point where I can then share my wisdom. I don't want to gatekeep everything till then. I'll just share what works and has worked for me over the past 3 years. And I will continue to do that over the years. I don't really talk about anything out of line of what I haven't, achieved or accomplished. You know what I mean? I'm still like very much a baby beginner in the sense of what I'm trying to do. So this is just what I've learned. So these are the two biggest things I had to learn and still have to practice, and you know will continually have to practice. Number one is consistency. You know, I had somebody DM me asking for advice and everything, and I asked them how long they were, tattooing or whatever, and they said on and off about, however many years or months or so. And one thing with me is there is, in like to me, in my head, there is no on or off, you know what I mean, with this thing. Consistency is very much a mental aspect, just as much it is physical, and I would say it's more on the mental side because I'm gonna talk specifically to tattoo artists right now. Um, if you can't tattoo, you first of all you need to do this every day. That's what consistency is, doing it every day, time and time and time again, right? So every day you either need a tattoo. If you can't tattoo, you draw. If you can't draw, you watch some videos. If you can't watch some videos, if for some reason you're in some sort of room or you're in a situation where you can't do those three things, educate yourself, then you always have your mind. You can always think of designs you can do and create, and fucking imagine drawing, imagine tattooing. Like, that's how, crazy you need to be with it, and you need to be, obsessive with it. And what I mean by consistency is just as much mental, is because it's like, you know, it, it's really just the discipline of it, doing it even when you don't want to, because, you know, you're gonna find you're not gonna want to do it every day. You know what I mean? And that's, normal. But I mean, the job's just got to get done. It's still got to get done. And discipline is a very important thing that you need to build. And discipline is one of those things where it can go so quickly. It takes a long time to build it up and to get that momentum, and then you're cruising. But it can be easy to slip off and then completely fall off. You know what I mean? So consistency is one of the biggest things that you will always have to. It's a daily practice that you will have forever. You know what I mean? It's something that you need to learn to master. So consistency is very important. Um, and second thing I had to learn along with that is, as consistent as you are, it's about patience. You know, you're gonna have these times, at least I have, where I've had times where, I really get like motivated. I really want to get this shit done. But, it can't all happen at once. It has to take time. Things take weeks, take years. And the people who have, who have really achieved those high things, those accomplishments, they don't get it done in a few months. You know what I mean? They get it like years. It takes years, it takes decades. And the sooner you can realize that, honestly, the more you stop shooting yourself in the foot, because you want everything so fast paced that you're sacrificing the long term for the short term, because you want to make yourself feel better. You want to make yourself feel like you're having progress, when really at the end of the day, you're capping your future ability. You know what I mean? If you learn to play the long game, that's really where you're going to find um, the greatest success and achievements. All right, so if you're going to take anything away from this video, and I'm serious about this, like, this is like, if anything, take this seriously, because it will, this is something you really need. You really need. Um, whatever achievement you have in mind, whenever thing you're trying to strive for, like, ask yourself why. Like, why? You know what I mean? And a lot of times for some of you, it's going to be like the answer is not going to be deep enough yet. You're going to give a very surface level answer. And, whatever first answer you give, try to challenge that even more. Ask why. Keep asking why until you really get that reason deep down, like, in you feel it in your heart and soul, like this is truly why you want to do this. You know what I mean? Because this reason why, it has to be something worth fighting for. You're gonna have to sacrifice everything for it, and it's gonna have to be something worth it. You know what I mean? This is something, your reason why, it's something worth fighting for, because you're gonna have to remember that answer in the times where either you're questioning yourself, other people are questioning you, in times where you're not seeing progress in the short term. You know what I mean? Because you're wanting fast, quick results, and sometimes that just doesn't happen. And you just have to think of your reason why as the reason to continue to push forward and everything. So, the hard truth and reality is, you have a vision nobody else sees. You want them to understand, but they don't, even if they support you. Um, even if somebody supports you, sometimes, like, they just don't understand, and you really want them to, but they just can't. You know what I mean? Um, they'll cheer you when it's too late, and only you can be your own cheerleader as you're walking the path. So let's go back to the first part. You have a vision nobody else sees. You want them to understand, but they don't. You have to understand, like this is in your head, and the hard part is, you have to understand that you have this vision in your head, and literally nobody else can see it. You know what I mean? And it's very hard, especially in the beginning. Especially if you're someone that you have these capabilities, and you can achieve these things, but they take time, and people are gonna dismiss you, and not believe you, and it can be a very hard thing for people to not understand, and to know, like, you can fucking do these things, but it's just like it hasn't mutated into the outside world just yet, right? And that's why you have to you have to lean back on your reason why you're doing these things. And this is where it kind of transitions into, um they'll cheer when it's too late, when you already have the success, when you already have those things, when it's already mutated outside of you, and they see all along, like, you could have fucking done it and everything. And that's what I'm saying. You can only be your cheerleader during the journey, because you know I've heard this analogy, I guess, from a lot of different, successful people. And it's just like, you know, running a marathon, you have the only thing people see is you at the start line and you at the finish line, right? People are cheering for you at the start line of the marathon, and when you cross the end of the marathon, they'll cheer for you, after you've already did it. But nobody's really there with you, like running through the miles and seeing you take those, step by steps. Nobody's with you in the day by day and the night by nights, and see what you really had to go through and the struggles you really had to go through. If you are bad at this and you haven't learned this yet, you really need to get on top of this. Is you being your own cheerleader, and this is why it's important to test yourself and your abilities and to understand, like, when you are being lazy, when you're being undisciplined, or when you're truly like tired and actually need, some rest and need to reassess things. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be your own mental coach a lot of the times. Like I said, if anybody's getting into anything super serious where they're like want to really achieve something like outside of their realm, um, this is what I would say time and time again. Um, and yeah, bro, if you guys want to hear, more from me, see what I'm up to, follow me on YouTube, follow me on Instagram. Um, um, those are the two platforms I'm most active on. Very much active on Instagram. I like to do my longer form, format videos like this on YouTube. But on the day by day, go ahead, follow me on Instagram. And if you guys have any questions or anything, you could go ahead and DM me on Instagram.